Next, we're going to move into Thunderbird. I've got this installed here on Windows 10, and since I am, actually I didn't want to bring that up yet, let's just, let me bring up the handout. I have used Thunderbird probably for at least 10 years, maybe even more than that. And it's certainly my favorite mail program. But this this paragraph in the beginning here is so important to the discussion. It's an email client, talks to one or more email servers, and it's for people that don't like to use a webmail. Sometimes it's hard to explain what webmail is. When you bring up your browser, it can be any browser. And you type in the address at the top, or you type in the search box, you say Gmail, for example. It'll take you over to the Google website, and then it'll bring up a password, name and password screen, and then you can go in and look at your mail. And if you do that, you are actually using the browser, whatever browser you're using. It could be Edge, could be Firefox, could be Chrome, could be Safari, whatever. You're using a browser to then look at email. And because you're using a browser, that you've got all of the menus that the browser have, and that's not always a good thing because it makes it more complicated. Second, as far as the particular mail program is concerned, they've designed a mail program to work with a browser. So the features that you get are somewhat limited, and because they're designed for that one application. And this fella talks about it here. If you're using more than one email program, like right here, say I have, for whatever reasons, email accounts from Yahoo, Gmail, Hotmail, and my ISP. If I use webmail, that's 4 different websites that I have to visit, each with their own layout and tools. 4 different sets of rules and procedures you have to learn. So for someone that has just one mail account, it may not be an issue. But I happen to have 3 mail accounts, so it certainly is an issue for me. But even if you have 2 mail accounts, or if you have 2 different machines, for example, if you have a Linux machine and a Windows machine, again, you're looking at 2 different systems with different things to learn. What we're going to talk about is a non-browser solution. And Thunderbird is a dedicated program that simply talks to your email server. Now let me see if I can show you what it looks like. I brought this up a moment ago. Here's one of the screens that you'll see on Thunderbird. This is my mail program. In fact, this happens to be, if you look up here, this is brucearnold@gmail.com. So this is the presentation that I get in Thunderbird. I get a subject, a correspondence, and a date, and these are all my emails, and they're sorted in date order. If I wanted to get a similar thing in the browser, let's see what browsers I have on here. We've got Microsoft Edge. I've got Firefox. Hey, let's try it on Firefox. Top sites is Google, so we can go to Google. Here's a Gmail icon. Now I'm in a browser here. Go into Gmail, create an account or sign in. I'm sure everybody's familiar with this. We're going to click on this and put in a password. Okay, so here's my mail. In fact, let's see if we can do this with both of them. Let's shrink that down. Here's Thunderbird. Oh, this is where we need a screen that's twice as wide. If we look at Thunderbird, or we flip over here, well, there you can actually see both screens. You're not going to read it, but you can see them. The screens look very similar. Here's Firefox. You've got some categories, some folders. Here's your mail, who they're from, the title of the mail, and in this case, we get actually a preview of what the mail says in the lower level text here, the gray text as opposed to the black. Let's go over and see how that same thing looks like in Firefox. Here's that security alert. It's the same one we just saw here, security alert. Here we've got when did a coworker's computer literacy, some sort of QR digest question. If we look it over here, I don't see it. Let's see, inbox. Am I there?
So it might be under social or the tabs up at the top, social. There it is.
There it is. See, right away, Google is doing something that's different than Thunderbird did, and frankly, well, you could argue it both ways, whether it's an advantage or a disadvantage. Point I'm trying to make is that essentially the same information is on there, but it's presented differently. Now, when you're in, let's get back over to Thunderbird. What I like to do is have the presentation more like this. Now, you're going to have to bear with me here because this isn't a wide screen, but if you do this on a regular 16:9 screen, like presumably all of us have at home, you will still be able to read this. You'll see, you'll probably see about that much of it, which is pretty good, and you can turn off the dates or the from if you want. But in addition, you'll see what the mail is actually saying. And here, Google shows you how Google is watching you. I signed on to my Gmail account And here it is. Google immediately sends me a message saying, somebody just signed on to your Google account. And this happened, I can't read it. This happened at 11:36, so that's 5 minutes ago, I guess. Now, if you you can do that, or you can change the layout completely. You can make the layout. Those three bars, everybody knows that's called a hamburger, right? It's the hamburger because it's three parallel bars horizontally, and that's a symbol for menu. So we're going to hit that menu and go here to options. Come on, options and layout, and we could go to a instead of a vertical view, which we're looking at, I could go to a wide view. And now, here's my security alert. In fact, I can give myself a little more room here. Here's my security alert, and here it is down here, the full presentation of the email, all on one screen. And again, if this were a wide screen, it would be even more readable. There are roughly about 100 options that you can do with this screen, and I'm not going to get into them all. Let me just say, first of all, when you install it, this is what you get. In fact, it's pretty much just what you see here. Although I always change it to layout vertical, because that's the one I like. All of your folders and your mail that you've sent, mail that you've received, any trash, any spam, whatever, that's all in here. And it's just an exact duplicate of your Google account. By the way, I'm not disrupting anything here. I can use Google 5 hours a day, and I can use Thunderbird 5 hours a day. I mean, they don't compete with one another. Everything that appears on one will appear on the other. If you have more than one email account, that's okay too. You can combine them all into one. Question?
Do you need to be connected to the internet while you're using this? Or does it have to be continuously pulling out to the other programs to get updates while you're using it? Or
Well, yeah, you have to be connected to the internet in order to get updates. Yes. And I am right now. That's how come that responded.
Well, once you download them, though, you don't have to be.
No.
That's what I mean.
You can, if you go into the settings, this is an advanced topic, but let's just talk about it. We go into settings, view the settings for this account, synchronization and storage. I've got this set on synchronize all messages locally regardless of age. If I were doing this on a computer that didn't have very much space, I might set this for the last 30 days. Or there's another option here, don't download messages larger than 50 kilobytes, and you can change that number. So there's lots of ways of customizing it. If you know you're always going to be online, then this is probably the best way. But if you're dealing with a laptop and you're carrying it around and using it without the internet much of the time, then you might want to change these numbers. Any other questions?
Yeah, Bruce, how does this compare with Outlook? I mean, advantages or disadvantages?
Outlook, of course, Question is, which version of Outlook? There's about 20 different versions of Outlook out there. There are some versions that come with the Office package. There are some versions that come standalone. Generally speaking, Outlook is a very deluxe program, and they probably compete very well. I think some people would, I personally think that this program's a little simpler to use than Outlook, but that's just my opinion. And it's much like a browser in that sense. Some people like Firefox, some people like Chrome. Well, there are a lot of people that like Outlook. I like Outlook on my smartphone. You know, I think Outlook looks better on a smartphone than the other email programs that I've tried. You just gotta try them all.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, I just started Windows 10. Way back to XP, so there's a big gap. So I'm going from scratch. I really am. Well, it's a simple thing, okay? And I'm sure everybody's saying, how does she not know it? But I don't. Okay, I bring up Windows 10. I'm only starting to do my emails, brand new computer, everything's like baby steps. I cannot email. I mean, the first thing I most want to do is send an email to anybody.
I just got a new computer.
And a new computer, and I cannot send an email.
Right.
Once I did, but then I can't remember where it is. I was used to seeing something say compose. I can't find the word compose on Windows 10. When I go into contacts, I get all my contacts, but it's telling me you can edit, you can delete, you can do everything, but I can't email. So I know I'll figure it out, but if there's something on that screen that just shows you, there's your compose, send an email without, the only way I'm finding myself sending out an email, if somebody had contacted me, I can reply. So I go inbox.
Well, see, that's a perfect example of why people like Thunderbird, because once everyone has those questions, but once you get used to Thunderbird, you can change from computer to computer. You can continue using Thunderbird. You mentioned Compose. Here's the Compose in your Gmail browser. This is how you would compose a.
Yeah, I'm using Yahoo, and I don't see compose on it.
You're using what?
I'm using Yahoo email.
Yahoo. Okay.
And I do not.
I don't know. Well, you're just going to the Yahoo site. Yahoo, I believe, is webmail, which means you're using a browser and then you're depending upon whatever software Yahoo wrote for that browser as to how it works. So they may call it something different. Come on, Yahoo people.
It's still composed.
It's still.
It's still composed.
Ah, okay. Here, if I'm on a browser here, if I hit compose, it pops up a box here. It says new message, and that was my email. Oops. Oh, where'd it go? There it is. If I were in Thunderbird, I would go to write, and it pops up. It's a little big here on the screen. Let's see, we can make it a little smaller. This is the Thunderbird way. You would say, you know, just send. Oh, I don't have one in there. Anyway,
LH.
to subject and.
They're all really composed. And it's usually in exactly the same spot.
With Thunderbird, you learn these things once, and then you have them as you go from different machine. Don?
Well, now on Macs, they have the Mac email, you know, and I don't really like it, so I don't use it, but it does let you use all your various services. And so maybe Yahoo has an app, and maybe she had an app set up for Yahoo and then went to the new computer and has to put the Yahoo app in. I mean, Yahoo does have web mail, you know, you can use webmail. I don't know if it has an app. Does anybody know?
Yes, it does.
So she might have been using the app, and then when she switched to a new computer, the app has to be installed again.
Is it possible you're using Microsoft Mail? Is it possible you're using Microsoft Mail on your new computer?
No, I'm using a Microsoft laptop. I have speech impairment. And I
Yeah,
have
okay.
very bad.
Well,
And
this is the colored box screen on the
I recognize
Microsoft.
that.
And the mail program, that Microsoft comes with its own mail program.
So when I see that, like right there, where do you compose an email?
New email.
New email. New mail.
Right,
Plus.
right,
To the left, Bruce.
To the left,
To the left, to the
up
left, to the
there.
left, and up.
right.
That's the one.
Here's that same message, by the way.
I still don't see compose an email.
No,
Like you want to write something,
there.
That's why you put
New
some new
email.
mail.
new mail. You click on new mail.
Right.
Okay, all right. Okay, that's that. New mail. Thank you.
I would check to make sure the from up there, where Bruce Arnold at IEEE.org is your email address too. Make sure that,
The CC.
Yeah.
Contacts.
Because sometimes they have the two on the front and the top one and the from on the bottom. And this has the
Mm.
from on the top and the
Mm.
from on the bottom. So just be careful.
Thank you. Yeah. So I'm hoping for new mail means send an email or compose an email.
Right. There you go. Take that with you today.
Except the Thunderbird. The Thunderbird just said, like,
Do you have to set up multiple emails
the Thunderbird.
to use Thunderbird?
You can, multiple, you can if you want.
Well, see, I have two different email accounts,
Okay.
email addresses.
Fine. If I bring Thunderbird up again here. As you can see here, I've only got one right now, my Gmail account. If I wanted to create another account,
To create new email.
Create a new account.
we're gonna go in here, create a new email, and they give you an opportunity of actually creating a new email address, but that's not your case. Skip this and use my existing. And then I could put my new email address in here. This could be, that's another account that I have. Let's not get involved with passwords at the moment. And we just say continue. And what Thunderbird is going to do here is try to figure out all of the technical parameters necessary to make this email account work. And they did not solve it because this IEEE account is a little difficult.
Is that your password though?
Pardon?
Is that your password?
No,
Then that's why it probably failed.
no,
No?
no, it's ignoring me for the moment. What it's trying to do is figure out all of these settings. Now, if there's a setting IMAP, it could be POP. There's a setting port, could be a couple different ports, could be couple different security
Socket layers.
socket layers, and we can have, again, different protocol as far as the passwords are concerned. If you do this with something like Yahoo, what is Yahoo? Yahoo.com?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, we try the same thing with yahoo.com, and we say continue. It was able to go to the Yahoo site and figure out all these things, and what it found was that it needed these settings for incoming, these settings for outgoing, and a particular username. And we just say done here, and that's the end. It'll create this account. Unfortunately, it's going to have a lot of trouble logging me in because it knows that the username or the password's invalid. But if I had to set this up with real numbers, real information, then it would have just got me into Thunderbird, got me into Yahoo. So it can be as simple as that. If you have some technical tricks that you need to get in, you can modify the menus accordingly. But 9 times out of 10, it'll just figure out the information and just go right in. So you were going to put in a second account. That's okay. And what happens is you get one account here, B. Arnold at Gmail, and then you'd see another account, and you could have 5 accounts in here. And you'd be using the same program for all the accounts. Let me hand these out. I want to go. How are we doing on the time?
You got a few minutes.
3 minutes. A few minutes.
Well,
I'm
you
going to
got more than a few
quickly.
minutes.
You just pass that around. I'm going to quickly try to go through some of these key points that I mentioned. We've already. Well, we jumped to 3. Let me just say, item 2, prerequisite for Gmail. Gmail, I don't know if this is 100%, but generally I've found that Gmail wants to be used in an IMAP account as opposed to a POP account. And there is a setting inside of your Gmail settings that you have to modify. That's what this step 2 is all about. You go to your Gmail account with a regular browser and you go into your settings and you tell them you want IMAP selected. Next, Thunderbird setup.
Bruce, bring it up on the screen too. We got a couple people watching online.
Okay.
Your PDF? Yeah. That's good.
Prerequisite for Gmail and IMAP. You go to settings in the Gmail navigator, go to the forwarding and pop IMAP tab and make sure enable IMAP is selected. This doesn't interfere with any of your other accounts, but it will enable Thunderbird to use IMAP, which is the modern preferred way of interfacing with email servers. And this one was kind of interesting. This one was reported. This is not always available, so if it's not available, don't worry about it. But some of the older versions, I remember a couple of years ago I did this, and Gmail required me to hit that button that said allow less secure apps. As far as I know, that button isn't there anymore. Okay, then I've talked about this initial Thunderbird setup, and this is just a copy of the screen that you saw. Put in my name, my email address, and my password, and hit go. And I'm one step ahead on the screen. First, you're presented, and blow it up so you can see it. First, you're presented with the top half of this screen. You just put in your name and your email address and your password, and then there's a go button on there, and where it checks everything. When it checks everything, it comes back and it gives you the results. In this case, everything was fine, and I just have to hit the done button. And about a minute later, you're looking at all your emails. Or at least you're looking at some of the emails coming down. You should be aware, if you've got 5,000 emails like I do, it takes about an hour to get them all to come down. But if you've got 100 emails, it'll come down in less than a minute. And here's that problem screen. If there are problems, follow the instructions given, and you get an opportunity to make some changes. And you can guess at these things. This is one of these areas in computers where it's okay to guess. You can guess at all of these values in this chart and say retest, and just keep changing things and retesting, and eventually you'll hit it. You've got about 10 different ways you can put the information in. So you got 10 tries and you'll probably hit it.
Why wouldn't the program do that for you?
Well, 95 times out of 100, it does do it for you. But see, I put in the wrong password. No, I didn't put in the wrong password. I put in the wrong name. I said John Jones at yahoo.com. And there is no John Jones at yahoo.com. So it couldn't even get to first base as far as testing it. If I put in a legitimate name, it'll generally find the answer. Here's that main screen that I showed you. Don't try to read this, it's not clear. But you have all your folders on the left. In fact, here's an example. This is a machine that I have at home. And I'm not 100% sure you can read it, but trust me here. I've got barnold@IEEE.org up here, and these folders are part of that mail. Then here's my Gmail right here, and I have some folders. And then below that, I have Comcast mail, and I've got some folders. So here I've got 3 different email systems all together on the one program.
Is it displaying all 3 at once, or you just have to select one at a time?
I select one at a time. Some programs allow you to pick all of them at once. I don't know if that's a feature here or not. I will say that there are approximately 1,000 add-ins that you can put on Thunderbird. John, you got an answer?
If you want, you could have them all together in the same,
One inbox?
yeah.
Oh, you've done
You
that?
can do that, my wife does it. for example.
Okay, I've never tried
I
it.
don't like that at all, but I mean,
Yeah.
you can do that. It's very hard to sift through them and see where it came from,
Sure.
but. you can-
Well, that's the answer.
Especially if you're just looking for the newest messages that just came in, it'd be nice to have. more.
Sure,
Oh,
that's true.
They're in bold, they're always in bold. See them.
In fact, we have a user here that knows how these things are important. In Thunderbird, I've got 4 important menu items indicated. You've got to be able to pick your inbox. You've got to be able to hit the right button when you want to create an email. And you want to be able to look at your address book, and you want to be able to put an attachment on an email. Those are probably the most important buttons. And it has nothing to do with configuration. The buttons are just there. They pop up automatically. Here's writing an email. You just put in your name and where it's to, from and to. In fact, the from is going to be there automatically. The to, I sent this to Joe, and I put in a subject, and I just put in words, and then there's a send button. This should be marked as important also, the send button. One of the very nice features of, I didn't put it in the notes here, one of the very nice features of Thunderbird has to do with the address box. Let me bring Thunderbird up again here. If well, that's, I need to see both things, so let me break this up. And let's just step through this, see if I get a hit. I'm not getting any hits. Okay, let me explain it. Imagine that, oh, here's one. Here's my son. When someone sends you an email, you can read the email. By the way, it doesn't have to be this scrunched together here. If you just double click on the line, that blows it right up to the full screen. This is from Tim Arnold, and notice that there's a star here, and the star means that it's not in my address book. Now, I don't know if you want to write this down or not, but in order to put this in your address book, you click on the star. Now it's in my address book. That's it. So that if I tried to write to him and I said Tim, there he is. That's all it takes to fill up your address book. So it's a very, very convenient feature. You can also see which ones are already in your address book because they're gold. Now, in fact, we see he's got a gold star because he's in my address book.
Sam, Bruce, it also has tabs. Do you ever use the tabs? Like you double click on one and then. Do you use that feature or not?
You have to, I'm not clear what you want me to try.
Double click a message, for example. See, it comes up, see the tab across the top?
Yeah.
It's there, and you click on your inbox, and you're back to your inbox.
Oh, sure. Thank you.
So you can keep several open, moving back and forth.
We could do that. We could do that forever. In fact, it's got a very interesting, very sophisticated search feature. If I did a search on QUORA, we get another tab of just the QUORA items, and here are the items. It found 237 of them. And if you don't like that picture, you can open it as a list, and there's another tab. And here's all the items of that category. Now I've got four tabs open. You can open 50 tabs if you want. Very, very flexible. And you see how fast it is. I mean, it's, well, how many do I have? Inbox. It's doing a search on 1,000 items, and you can't even see the search. It's instantaneous. My rule for using Thunderbird is just to play around with it. I don't think you can break it, and you can learn a lot just by experimenting with it. I started to say before that there are hundreds and hundreds of add-ons that you can add to Thunderbird, which I usually don't get involved with. But if you're interested, you can do that. One add-on that I added once is you can use it to find duplicate names if you're looking for some duplicates. Lots of extra features. Let's see how we're doing here. I recommend it. You can use it on, in fact, it comes automatically with Ubuntu and Mint and most versions of Linux. You can get it for a Mac. You can get it for any PC, regardless of how old it is. Great program.
Bruce, Mozilla, they don't charge, they take donations, but who are they that has all of this ability to program these good programs?
I have no idea. It is amazing, isn't it? Yeah, no, I've never paid for it.
I can help a little bit, but not with Mozilla or WordPress, for example. Just a lot of volunteers. People just volunteer their time and somehow manage to work together with groups. There's funding too, but more questions?
Cool.
I had a comment. One thing you didn't mention, as far as I know, Thunderbird is a great program. It doesn't work on Android.
Does it work on?
Android. So it won't work on your smartphone. That's the reason why I use Thunderbird for all of the programs on my computers. Windows XP, Windows 7, Windows 10. I use Bluemail on my smartphone because it works as well or better than Thunderbird on Android.
Mhm.
But Bluemail won't work on Windows.
Right.
I'm stuck with two email clients, Thunderbird for PCs and Bluemail for smartphones.
I use, on my Android, I use K9. K9 is my number one. Outlook is my number two.
Don't know Ken, but I'll look at it.
If you know Doctor Who, K9 is his dog.
Yes.
So there's a picture of the dog there. But it's a very good mail program.
And that's the way it's spelled, K9, C-A, it's not K9, it's K9.
It's the letter K, 9, and the number 9.
Okay,
Two
that's the way you.
two symbols.
Not the word K9.
No.
I just have a comment. I use Thunderbird too, and the two features that you didn't mention, I
Well,
like.
let's get 'em up here.
No. Edit message as new. You ever use that one?
Oh, yes.
That's a good one.
Yes.
Where you go to your sent mail and you want to resend it to someone else, and also that you can drag and drop into different folders.
Let's try it. I use both of these. Let's see.
I think it has. You right click it.
If I'm looking at this email, I can do message. Is it on a right click also, John?
There you go. Edit as new message.
Yes.
Edit as a new message. So I can send this message to somebody, and I'm sending the full message, but It's,
Well, it's
I
nice
have
you
the
can-
option of putting in my information at the top.
It's nice you can delete things that you don't want before you send it, you know, so to alter it to
Sure.
the person you're sending it to.
Right. In fact, this one, this is an advertisement, of course, and advertisements are always a challenge, but I'm just wondering whether we can actually change the sizes. I'm not sure. Anytime you get into graphics, you gotta call on and let them fix it for you.
Anytime you get into ad hoc demonstrations, you gotta get in trouble.
What was the second?
You can drag messages.
Oh, gee.
In other folders.
Sure, if we're, well, of course, well, actually, if I just want to take this, this message here, I can just drag this over to trash like that. And now it's in trash. Here's another one, trash. Now, if I look in my trash folder, there are the two messages that I just dragged over there.
Or, that's not typically how I use it. I use it when I have a particular category of stuff that I want. You know, like,
Give me an example.
like if you have a particular account, like you get stuff from DirecTV or something like that, you might want to save it into a DirecTV folder, that sort of.
Well, I did that before. I did I did a quick filter on Quora.
Make a Quora folder, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oops.
Well,
New service, Gora.
Did I just misspell that?
if you make a new folder called Quora, you can just drag them in there. That's
I
a
have the whole folder.
folder.
Yeah, I could delete, but this would be the
You got it.
Oh, okay. So we'll open this as a list. I can just I lost my my view of the folders.
And it's probably-
Well,
Click on inbox.
yeah.
Well, you'd have to make a new folder.
You need a new folder.
Or just
Well, yeah,
right-click
sure.
the account.
But of course, you can do something like this: move all of these to some other folder. One of these folders, or one that you just created.
Right.
Yeah, there's lots of ways to do it. Talking about moving things around, there are a whole lot of features as far as techie type stuff, macros and things. You can do a message filter like this. You can create a filter.
Why don't we give Bruce a break? And we do actually have a few people looking on the internet. Hello, everybody. Say hello, Bruce. And Bruce did a really good job. I'd like to applaud him. 2 topics. It's a lot of information in both of them. He originally said that they were going to be little short topics, and I always say that all the short topics end up to be more and more information you can possibly have. But to thank him for giving us a nice summer topic, and we'll see what we're going to do next month. We're not 100% sure, but you know we always end up with something. So if you have any more questions, just ask him. I'll turn it back over to Bruce.